Hello everyone and welcome to my IELTS 02 Hero uh, presented by actually me, Farzad Avargui. In the previous videos we talked about the general ideas about the course, about the exam, and also we introduced the listening section of the IELTS exam, and here we are gonna have some practice on different sections and different parts, and I'm gonna tell you what actually matters and about different details of this listening section, and that's gonna be pretty much the purpose of this video. So it is only practice, and I'm gonna give you some useful tips and tricks and some useful hints on what to do when you're actually listening to the file that is being played for you. And this is only experience. I mean, throughout the years that I have been teaching, I have came up with some methods for listening so that you can answer the questions better. So here I have taken four different texts from the website IELTS Buddy. It's up there for free. Everybody can use it. So I thought instead of using Cambridge sources, I use these because Cambridge books are mostly used by students who are really close to their exam date. So this is why I use something that is not so much used by the students who are taking the exam. This is good for practice, however. So we're gonna go through four different texts from each section, and I'm gonna tell you what is important in each part, and I'm gonna tell you how to take notes and where to pay more attention, and so on. So as you can see on my screen, the first section, as I have told you already, it's a conversation about a general topic, the Carlton Hotel. So it's about a hotel, the general idea, an everyday topic, how to book a room in a hotel. So the parts that I have highlighted here are actually the parts that are useful lexically and grammatically, and the good thing about IELTS Buddy websites is the answers to the question, to all of the questions actually, are underlined so that you know when you're checking the transcript, you know where the answers lie. So I'm not going to talk about answers. I'm going to analyze the text. I'm going to tell you how the text goes. So this is mostly the purpose of this part, this video. And also I'm going to show you, as I just did, the useful expressions that we can learn from each listening. So, hi, welcome to the Carlton Hotel. How can I help you? So here, as you can see, the Carlton Hotel is underlined. Probably the question was asking what hotel they are talking about. We have just driven up from London. Driven up from London. Drive up from somewhere. That could be a useful expression. And we're going to stay here in New York for a few days. We'd like to book a couple of rooms. Book a couple of rooms. So the verb for actually having a room reserved for you is book. Book a test, for example. Book a room. Book something. We shall go on. Okay, sir. For how many nights is that? For how many nights is that? I mean, for night we don't use much. We say how many. We'll be leaving on Monday morning. So let me see. That's 3 nights. Look at this part. Let me see. This and all the expressions that are similar to it suggest that the part that is coming next is gonna be important because the person is thinking, actually thinking to maybe provide an answer. Even if that part is not the answer, usually we use something like this, a gap filler, when we want to think. Maybe when we are speaking, we use gap fillers all the time. we will talk about gap fillers in the speaking section in more detail. And you said 2 rooms. Who are the rooms for? Who are the rooms for? I'm here with my wife and 2 kids. See, instead of saying I have a wife and 2 kids, the man says, I'm here with my wife and 2 kids. So pay attention to this. They are 9 and 11. They are 9 and 11. Sorry, 9 and 12. As you can see, the second part is underlined. So we have a 9 and 11 first, and then we have 9 and 12 next. Mostly in the questions that have maybe multiple choices actually, or they have some specific detail for their answers. It is very common that we hear 2 different sets of answers. One of them is acknowledged by the speaker in the listening, and the other one is rejected. So it is best when you're answering detailed questions not to answer immediately. Just to listen for hints and for details. As for example, here the word sorry is actually the key word that we need, because after saying sorry, he is correcting himself. 9 and 12. So one of the mistakes that students may make here is entering actually 9 and 11 as their answer on the exam. So be careful about these. Whenever you hear 2 sets of information, usually, and most of the times actually, not usually, you go with the answer that is acknowledged by the speaker. The eldest has just had his birthday, so we'd like 1 twin room for the kids and another double for my wife and I. Different types of hotel rooms, 1 twin room and another double. Okay, well, we've got 2 rooms available, both en suite. We have got. So what does that mean? Actually, it is the informal form for I have. Instead of saying I have in informal situations, you can say I have got. Great. How much are they per night? Let me see. Again, another gap filler. The twin room is £40 per night, and the double room is £50 per night. Okay, that sounds reasonable. Reasonable for prices that are not too high, not too low, just reasonable. So what is the total for 3 nights for both rooms? Let me check again. We have a gap filler. That will be a total of £270. So again, parts that are actually after gap fillers are really important parts. Even if they are not the answer to a question, they may provide us with useful information on how to answer the next question. And that includes everything. Yes, that price includes tax. Okay, can I pay by credit card? Payment method using by as a preposition for the verb pay. Can I pay by credit card? Yes, sure. You'll need to pay for the first night now, and you can pay for the other nights when you leave. Or you can pay for all the 3 nights now. So as you can see, we have 2 options here divided by the word or. Pay for the first night right now, so that's a must. You'll need to pay. Judging by the word need, we can see that it is a necessity. They have to pay for the first night now, and you can pay for the other nights when you leave, or you can pay for all the 3 nights now. So pay attention to the words like or, and, because, however, although, things like that connect 2 sentences and actually give us a hint on how different sentences and different parts are connected. We shall go on. I think I'll just pay for everything now, as we'll definitely be here till Monday. Okay, that's fine. I just need to take some details from you to confirm the booking. Take some details. When you want to ask for first you need to ask for the details and then you take them and confirm the booking in order to make sure that the person is actually going to show up. The woman says, confirm the booking. Can you give me your full name? Can you give me your full name? Usually, we don't say, tell me your first name. That would be a little bit maybe rude in some cases, but can you give me your full name? It is more polite and more formal. We use a modal verb in these cases. Yes, it's Michael Fernsby, or maybe Fernsby. That's Fernsby. Usually the parts that are spelled out for you are the questions, are the answers actually to the questions. So pay attention to these parts. It can be tricky. It does sound easy and does sound simple and small, like an easy answer, like easy score, easy points. It's usually like that, but sometimes if you don't pay attention even to one letter, one small letter, you will not get the score for that part. Even if you have all the letters correctly, one of them could actually cost you one complete point. So make sure that you listen carefully and write down as you listen. What's your date of birth, please? The 15th of October. 15th of October. So these parts are again important. As I have told you already, we have a detail. Maybe the detail is going to be corrected later. 15th of October, 1968. The 5th of October, 1968? No, the 15th. So pay attention to this. The information is actually given correctly first, then mistakenly mentioned, and after that again confirmed. So be careful. And also, you should pay attention to the pronunciation of 15 and 50. Usually the numbers that have teen have their stress on their syllable that says actually teen. For example, 18, 19, 16. But we have 80, 60, and 90. So the stress in here will be on the first syllable. We shall go ahead. Okay, sorry. And can you give me your address? Sure, it's usually the addresses are all important. Sometimes, most of the times, one question is actually from these addresses. Addresses, names, numbers, they are really important. So as we can see, one part here is underlined. So be careful about these. And actually, the information is repeated here. So if you miss it first, you're gonna get it here. Yes, that's right. And your telephone number? My mobile number is... Hold on, just let me check. Hold on, just let me check. It means that the person is not sure. I can never remember it. Here it is. After here it is, we can actually expect some real answers, some answers that are gonna be probably important, or even if they're not important, they will give us useful information on what the rest of the conversation may contain. Okay, those rooms are booked for you then. And that's the end of the first part. The parts that I have highlighted, as you can see, they're not few parts. Listening to different parts, listening for different expressions, and the listening is actually going to teach you a lot of words, a lot of lexical and grammatical items. So make sure that you pay attention after you actually answer the questions. I suggest you listen to them one or two more times because actually this way you can find out every single word that was new for you, and if you hear them again, so you know them. So make sure you listen to them more than one time after you have answered the question. Be careful. Do not listen to them a couple of times in order to answer the questions, because on the exam date, you will only hear each part only once. Here is the second part of the first section. Okay, I know we're a bit out of town here. Can you give me some information about getting into the center of town? We'll probably hit in tomorrow. All useful information, all useful vocabulary items. Head in, getting into the center of town, a bit out of town. Useful collocations here. Make sure you have an ear for them. Well, you could drive in, but the parking is not great in town. It's difficult to get a space for parking, and it is quite expensive if you're staying there all day. Quite expensive. Quite here means very. Don't mistake it for quiet, which means silent, someone who's not speaking. Yes, we are thinking of going to look around. We are thinking of going after we are thinking of. We have ing form, a gerund, to look around some of the shops and to look at the wall around the city. So we'll probably be there most of the day. So as you can see, again, each sentence has a couple of useful expressions. Actually, listening for them can give you a lot of new information on what each part, on vocabulary items, for example, or grammatical structures, maybe collocations, useful collocations. In that case, you are probably best taking a taxi or the bus. How much is a taxi? Into town, it will be about 12 pounds. Actually, no, I'd say it's around 15 pounds. Again, we have a part that is gonna make you fall into the trap. 12 pounds and then correct it to 15 pounds. Actually, if you write down immediately after you hear the piece of detail, it is very likely that you actually get the wrong answer. Make sure that you listen for details that confirm the answer. Again, we have seen 3 samples here in this part, in this section. Each of them have need actually a confirmation on the part of the speaker. We can book it here for you, and it will pick you up outside. Pick you up. A car can pick you up. It doesn't get you in. It picks you up. So that's a useful collocation again. It only takes about 10 minutes. When you want to talk about how long something will actually take, you actually use the verb take. For example, it takes 15 minutes for me to answer the reading sections. So that's another part that is important. Another collocation, a verb for a specific purpose. Right. I see. I see means I understand, not actually seeing or looking. What about the bus? How much is that? And where does it go from? Where does it go from? It's only 2 pounds per person. It's not far from here. You go out of here, turn right onto Oak Tree Avenue. Turn right onto Oak Tree Avenue. And it's about a 5-minute walk. A 5-minute walk, a 10-minute drive, a 2-minute run. Actually, I haven't heard run, but yes, it can happen. 5-minute walk, it means the walk takes, if you walk there, it takes 5 minutes. You can't miss it. The bus ride is about 15 minutes. You can't miss it. It means that it is obvious. So it's a useful phrase, a useful sentence actually. You can't miss it. Oh, okay, maybe we could do that. Or you could walk. Actually, if you like walking, part of the way you can walk through the nice Park, which is fairly popular with visitors to York. It's about 30 minutes, but it's quite pleasant. Judging by the word but, we can see that 30 minutes, for example, it seems long, but it's quite pleasant. It means that it has a positive aspect to it as well. Right. Well, there's a few options here. We'll have a think about it. We will have a think about it. I'll go and get my wife and kids. They're just waiting in the car. Okay, no problem. Thanks for booking with us. And that would be the end of the first section of the listening. So as you can see, the topic was a conversation actually. It was a general, everyday topic. And we can see that the second part actually includes more difficult expressions. That's usually the case as we go by in the listenings. The text and the passages actually they become more difficult. So that's the end of part 1. So we shall go to part 2 now, and judging by the size, we can see that it includes a lot more information, because in conversations we usually have pauses between each sentence, between each speaker's sentence, so we can see that the text is not that much. But here, on the second part, or actually second section, you can see that it includes a lot of information. And as you can see, there's no conversation, it's only one person talking. And that will be it. So let's start. Let's see what the second part includes. Okay, everyone, thanks for coming today. Usually in these parts, we have the main idea laid out for us. Thanks for coming today and for your interest in volunteering abroad. There we go. That's our main idea. So the rest of the lecture would be about volunteering abroad, maybe different conditions, situations, and information. For those that don't know much about our company, Time Abroad, that's the name of the company. Let me start by telling you a bit more. Let me start by, after that we have an ing form, a gerund. Time Abroad is one of the largest volunteer abroad organizations. It is actually describing what Time Abroad is. And in the UK, the company was founded. We have a passive form, was founded. The verb is found. The passive form is actually in simple past. Was and were, judging by the object of the main sentence. Actually, the object has been, it must be actually the company in the original sentence. So it is singular, and we are talking about a past form, so it is a choice between was and were. Because it is singular, we use was. So that's a piece of grammar. In 2007, the company grew by joining with another company. Grew by, after by we have another gerund with another company. PT Travel, making us even larger. Even larger. Even means the company had been large before that as well, because it says even larger. He doesn't say larger or large. For example, if he had said making us large, it means that the company had been small or a medium-sized company before. If he had only used larger, it means it was large. But using even, he is emphasizing on the fact that the company is quite big now. In 2014, we sent 10,000 people abroad. Sent abroad. We don't use a preposition send to abroad, so be careful. On a variety of service projects and internships overseas. More than any other company, all participants receive the best support. That's quite a good collocation from our full-time professional staff to ensure that the experience is safe, worthwhile, and fun. Safe, worthwhile, and fun. I suppose that this word would be new for you. Worthwhile, something that is worth the time that we spend, or maybe devote to it, spend on it or devote to it. We have lots of very experienced staff working for us. Experienced staff. We have around 150 full-time staff members. Full-time members, people who work there full-time, not part-time. Many of whom are former volunteers themselves, inspired by their own experience. Inspired by their own experience. And that's, as you can see, so many useful information. It is just too good to miss out on. Most of the students only answer the questions and then they start a new listening. I suggest you look at them in more detail. That's what I'm doing here. And also giving you an idea of what the actual exam looks like. Some of these people are even part of the original groups of volunteers back in the early 90s. Back in the early 90s. When you want to refer to a point of time in the past, you can say back in, for example, back in, or back when I was a child, back in 20, for example, 10, back in 2005, that's it. About 75 of those staff are not located in the UK at all and spend their whole time in another country supporting the volunteers. We can see that we have more detail. The text gets into more detail. It gets more detailed as it goes by. So it becomes more actually difficult. The vast experience in fields such as community development or education. Vast experience. Instead of saying big experience, vast experience. The times that volunteers join the program vary a lot. They are different, of course, but they vary a lot. That's a useful word. Some join in July because join in July, that's a month, so because they have just finished studying. After present perfect, we can use just to mention that, to actually emphasize the fact that the action has taken place recently, have just finished at college or university and want to do some volunteering before they move on to work or further study. To do some volunteering. Finished studying at college. Instead of saying finish my college, I have seen many students, mostly it's because of their mother language and their native language, they say finish my college, complete my college, complete my university, finished studying at college or university. Move on to work or further study. Higher education maybe. The winter months are also popular. Also is used to add some detail to the first sentence, to the original meaning. So here we have July, that is a popular month in the previous sentence, and now we are talking about another popular month. So we have the word also, emphasizing the fact that another piece of information is going to be added. Going on, but there are not set start dates. Set dates, it means the dates are flexible. Set dates. And programs run continuously throughout the year. So the majority of volunteers start when it's best for them. So it is it would be common to see information that is in the answer choices, actually, to see information that is correct but not answering the question. For example, the students can join whenever they want here, but an answer choice that would actually throw you off the course would be the winter months. Another would be the spring. Another would be July, for example. So listening for details, we can see that we have a word so and we have but. So but means there's going to be a contradiction, and so it means that there's going to be a reason. Actually, a reason has been mentioned. So pay attention to these little connectives, to these transition words, maybe to the connectives, to the cohesive devices, everything that points out the connection of different sentences to actually connect different sentences. Time Abroad is an entirely independent organization which does not receive any funding from religious bodies, political parties, development organizations, or other sources. Religious bodies, political parties. And of course, we don't request money instead of saying ask for. Ask for is actually a more informal word because it's a phrasal verb. Phrasal verbs are usually informal. So request money from our partner organization in the developing world. All our work is 100% funded through your contributions as a volunteer. Our work is funded through, so that's another useful verb and the preposition. We do get help from the government, but that is from reduced business taxes, not financial contributions. That could be important information. It is this financial independence that gives us the freedom to set up projects wherever we think it may be useful and where we think that our volunteers can make a valuable contribution. Make a valuable contribution, useful collocation here. So, as you can see, so much more information, so much more detail is actually involved in the lectures. The language used is more difficult, more formal most of the times, and is definitely more difficult. So that's the end of the first break, actually the first part of the second section. So we have another section here as well. What is important in listening up to now? I want to have a conclusion so far that when you're listening, it is very common. All these new pieces of vocabulary, you might not know them, or even sometimes you know them, but because you haven't learned them with the correct pronunciation, it may occur that sometimes you miss some ideas, some words. And it is very common. It happens to everyone. It happens to the best of us. Even I have been teaching for 10 years when I'm recording this course, but it happened to me as well to miss one piece of information. So when you miss one part, focus on the rest of the conversation or the lecture, because the part that you have missed might be one sentence, but the listening is about, each section is about 10 minutes, 7 to 10 minutes. So don't focus on what you have missed, focus on what is to come. It is easier said actually than done. Because most of the students just miss out one part and they get so anxious and nervous that they miss the rest of the conversation, and they may lose like 6 or 7 questions maybe. But the part that you haven't understood might include only one question, that's true. But if you keep thinking about that question that you have missed, you're gonna be unable to answer the rest of the questions. So one question or all the questions. It's your own choice. They're pretty obvious though. So be careful about this, and let's finish this part, and then in the next video we'll focus on the academic sections, part 3 and part 4. Now I'm going to tell you about some of the more popular opportunities, again another main idea, in a bit more detail. One of the most popular, so the first one, volunteering choices, is teaching. So we'll have some information about teaching. You'll find a warm welcome awaits you to await someone or something from our students around the world. The main thing you will do is assisting with English conversation, because although the local teachers are very capable of teaching the structural aspects of the English language, such as the grammar, they do not use the correct intonation or pronunciation. because they lack the confidence of a native speaker. By providing conversational English teaching, you can greatly enhance, good, useful word, the learning experience. Enhance means improve. Learning experience of thousands of children and adults with whom we work in the developing world. You can also volunteer in agriculture, the second field. Access to safe and healthy food is a major concern, another useful qualification of any society. Volunteers work on a farm with the aim of promoting sustainable local food sources and responsible farming. Using pesticides, something that kills pests, insects, for example, locusts. They eat the products on the farm, so they are called pests, and they're not wanted, of course. And other destructive agricultural techniques can have a long-term negative impact on the environment and threaten the future. I mean, threaten is the verb for threat. Well-being of whole regions. Time abroad agriculture and farming projects focus on. So actually, when we have the verb focus on, a piece of information is going to be given that is very important. So be careful about that as well. That's another hint that you can look for. You could also volunteer in the field of veterinary medicine. If you do this, you will be working alongside a vet. That's the third field. If you do this, you will be working alongside a vet in a local veterinary practice. You will help the vet when people bring in sick animals, or join the vet on visits to people's houses or other places. You will gain fantastic insights that would not be possible in your own country. You are likely to see many exciting types of animals. Likely to see, it means probably you will see them. And that's the rest. That's pretty much it. And also the final sentence has quite some information that's important. You will develop an understanding of the problems people are faced with in both urban and rural areas of the third world. Now, the first and second sections are done, and the second parts actually are done, part 1 and part 2. Let's have a review, a summary of the first 2 parts. The parts will include information on daily topics that happen, that we have every day, we face every day. These topics are on numerous different ideas, such as booking a hotel, maybe going on holidays, checking this, for example, the movie theaters, plan and schedule. The conversations are usually easier. The lectures are more difficult, more formal, and include more important, more difficult, items, both grammatical and lexical. And if you miss some parts, it's okay. Just focus on what is to come. After answering the questions, make sure that you listen to the conversations again. First of all, it is good for your listening. You can listen multiple times to be more familiar with the pronunciation patterns and the pronunciation features, of course. Also, you can learn a lot of native collocations, structures, vocabulary items, and by shadowing the sentences, your speaking will improve as well. Shadowing means that you listen to the conversations and then try to repeat with the same accent, same pronunciation, same intonation. You will repeat whatever you hear. And that's the end of this video. I hope you liked it. If you don't want to practice, actually get more familiar with the ideas, you can skip right into the next part, which is the reading section of the IELTS exam, or you can continue watching the next video, which is an analysis just like this of part 3 and part 4 of the listening section. Thank you very much for watching. It's me, Farzad, and stay with me. Have a good day.